Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 24th October 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. So this is the social media handles of Ganesh IAS Academy, through which the academy provides the daily current affair related materials and also other information related to the civil service examination and other competitive examinations. And the link is given in the below description. Have a look at it. And then for admissions, please do contact the respective mobile number or the email ID which is provided in the slide. And please do like, share and comment, and as well as subscribe to the Ganesh IAS YouTube channel, and the comment which you are giving is very valuable input through which the discussion in relation to the news as well as other issues that is happening around the world and also in relation to the examination will also be discussed in the comment section. Please do like, share as well as comment and subscribe the Ganesh IAS YouTube channel. Okay, let's get into the today's newspaper analysis. Mentioned here are the list of articles which we are going to have the analysis in the upcoming slides. Okay, let's have analysis of each and every article one by one. FOREX swap. The delivery of entire 5 billion to RBI goes through smoothly, says banks. Last year, RBI has conducted the forex swap, the buy as well as sell of dollar for the rupees. Because of the prevailing volatility in the exchange rate as well as the high liquidity that is present across the banking system, so that to stem the depreciation and also to suck out the high liquidity that is present in the banking system, so that the RBI could able to control the inflation that is prevailing in the economy. This is the alternative route apart from the traditional monetary policy tools which has been followed by RBI. Okay, how the news is being related to the examination is, under prelims the news is related to economic and social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to GS paper 3 economic and development under a topic called Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, employment as well as development. Okay, let's have a look into what does this dollar rupee sell by swap auction conducted by the RBI is about. See, it is the forex tool which I said being used by RBI if the traditional tool that has been used by RBI is not working. So it is a kind of alternative tool or backup tool to control the inflation in an economy. See, in that RBI buys the dollars from the bank for the rupee if the liquidity in the system is low, and on the other hand, if the rupee dollar sell is happening, means the RBI will be selling the dollar and it will be pulling out the rupee if there has been high liquidity that is prevailing in the system, so that the inflation could be controlled according to the requirement of RBI. So as I said, it will be reducing the volatility that is present in the exchange market, that is forex exchange market, and then the inflation that is present in the overall system. Why does the RBI does such kind of activities like dollar rupee buy sell swap is, as I said, to reduce the surplus liquidity and also at the same time to reduce the exchange rate crisis that is happening in the rupee. What immediate impact this kind of swap creates in the market is that it will be reducing the liquidity. Secondly, it will check if the liquidity is reduced, means surely the access to the credit or the liquidity by the people will also get reduced, so that there will be less amount of liquidity in the hands of people, so that it will be checking the inflation that is prevailing in the economy. And then because of these kind of activities, it will also have a negative impact in terms of the foreign portfolio investors. That is, the investors, if RBI is doing such kind of non-traditional activities to stem the inflation, means it is indicating that something, it is not going well in the economy, so that the foreign portfolio investors will take back the investment money which they have done in the stock exchanges as well as the other bond or equity in the Indian financial markets. So this is what the news is related to. And what are all the other things which we needed to study apart from the news is that first and foremost we should know about what is the liquidity adjustment facilities about. Secondly, we should also know about what is the Reserve Bank of India is, and what is the objective of the Reserve Bank of India, under which act it has been created, and what are all the other monetary policy tools as well as other non-traditional tools that is being used by RBI to control the inflation that is present in the economy. Thirdly, you should also know about what is RBI's monetary policy and what is the RBI's monetary policy committee that has been formed in 2015 to contain the inflation within 4 percentage plus or minus 2. That is 2 percentage to 6 percentage. Within this only the inflation need to be within. So on the one hand, the monetary policy, the aim of the monetary policies in India is to ensure that the inflation does not go out of the hand. At the same time, the fiscal policy of government of India will also act as complementary as well as supplementary for the monetary policy to stem the inflation that is prevailing in the system, like in the case of increasing the taxation or increasing the taxation bracket and increasing the tax for those luxurious products according to the prevailing economic condition at that point of time. And also the subsidies and as well as the expenditure being provided by the government is also part of the fiscal policy, and it also has an inflationary effect. So according to the inflation that is prevailing in the economy, the budgetary will also be made, and the expenditure in relation to the economy will also be planned so that the inflation does not go out of the hand. So these are all the two policies that will go hand in hand in the economy to control the inflation in the economy. So these are all the other things which we need to be aware of, and we should be aware of what are the different types of fiscal policy instruments which has been followed by government of India also. India's reliance on crude oil import rises to 87.8% in April-September from 86.5% in a year ago. What the headlines of the news is saying is that the import of crude oil requirement in India has risen. That is what the headline is saying. See, because of the increased demand in the domestic arena and the flattened domestic production led to increased import from the Middle East. As a result of which, we saw a increased percentage of rise in terms of crude oil when compared to the previous year. During 2015, Government of India aimed to reduce the import dependence of crude oil from other countries by 67% compared to the 2014 level, which was 77%. But it is not the case now. It has been increased to 87.8% in the 6th month of this fiscal year. And then how the import dependency is being calculated by Government of India is that they will be calculating the domestic consumption and the products, or the products means the petroleum products that has been exported out of the countries. By knowing the difference between the two, the dependency of the crude oil import is being calculated in India. And India is also the net exporter of petroleum products. even though the crude oil production in domestic arena is very low, the refining capacity of the country is very high, as a result of which the refined products is getting exported out of the country, which in turn is leading to India was one of the net exporter in terms of petroleum products. How the news is related to civil service examination is, under prelims it is related to economic as well as social development, sustainable development, poverty inclusion, demographic and social sector initiative. Similarly, under GS paper 3 mains, it is related to Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, what impact does the oil dependency creates in India? Is first and foremost, it is India will be vulnerable to the global oil price volatility. Since this kind of global oil price will rise or it will get decreased because of many factors, like in the case of geopolitical tension, supply chain constraints and the pandemic like COVID-19, this and many other things. Because of these kind of things, the demand and supply will be changed, so that the OPEC country, which is the cartel or the oligarchy in terms of producing the crude oil across the world, will be increasing or decreasing the cost, increasing or decreasing the price of the crude oil across the world. So because of this kind of volatility, India will be affected because of it, because we are heavily dependent, more than 85% of our oil requirement from the outer side. So if there is any impact on the outer side, means surely it will be having impact on the economy of India itself, which in turn will have a huge impact in terms of our energy security. Secondly, because of high dependency from other countries in terms of crude oil import, our trade deficit will also get widens. Because of widening of trade deficit, we will be having drain in the forex reserve. So there will be more number of outgo in terms of forex reserves will be taking place, which in turn will have negative impact in terms or negative impact in our rupee, that is it will lead to drastic depreciation. So that if the rupee is getting depreciated, means it will be leading to a condition called as imported inflation, where we will be spending more amount of money to buy a product which was earlier cheaper. And this kind of imported inflation will creep into the domestic economy, and it will have a chain of inflation effect in the other sectors as well. So this is what the negative impact the dependency of the India in terms of the crude oil from the other country creates. Okay, let's look into the OPEC countries, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. They are the group of countries which was formed by the Baghdad Conference during 1960s, and initially it was 5 members and right now it has expanded, and recently the Qatar has came out from this organization because of the lack of terms as well as consensus between the Qatar and the other OPEC countries. And then it is headquartered in Vienna, that is in Austria. So these are all the other details in relation to the OPEC is about. And how the OPEC decides the price is that, see, first and foremost, they will look into the profit maximization of the member countries, and then they will be looking into the demand as well as supply, and then they will be fine tuning the demand as well as supply, which does not have any impact on their profit. After that only they will be looking into their global good or global goodness or the global inflation or the economic downturn that is happening across the world. After their profit maximization is secured. What are all the steps being taken by government of India to reduce the oil import or the dependency of India in oil import is, first and foremost is diversifying our fuel resources, that is promoting the usage of natural gas, so that promoting the gas based economy in India rather than fossil fuel based economy in India like crude oil, and then promoting renewable and then alternate fuels like ethanol, compressed biogas, and then biodiesel. Thirdly, because of the enormous refinery process or the capacity which India has, government is fine tuning the refinery process, not only the process but also the entire governance ecosystem that is surrounding the refinery process, so that the efficiency of the refinery process will be improved, which in turn will have huge impact in terms of increased output production. Fourthly, promoting the energy efficiency and conservation across industries as well as across automobiles that has been used by the countries, by different section of peoples as well as different sectors of peoples. And then policies also being fine tuned, so that there will be an enhancement in terms of oil as well as natural gas production in domestic arena. Finally, a functional freedom is also being given to the national oil producing companies, so that there won't be any kind of strict rigid forms of red tapeism or in the kind of bureaucratic hurdles in terms of the domestic production will take place. Such kind of functional freedom will lead to, according to the theoretical aspect, it will be leading to enhancement in the oil production. So these are all the steps being taken by Government of India to reduce the dependency of India in terms in crude oil import from other countries. What are all the top countries right now from which India imports the oil? Is first and foremost it is Iraq, secondly United States, and then Nigeria, Saudi Arabia and UAE. From these countries only India is right now importing the oil. And what we need to study further is, first and foremost, we should know about what is the energy mix of India, what percentage of fuels being produced from fossil fuels, and what are all the what percentage of fuels being produced from the non-fossil fuel or the renewable capacity in India. Secondly, we should also know about the entire Middle East geographies. Thirdly, we should also know about the recent Israel-Palestine war, which we have discussed in the previous current affairs session. If anyone has not watched it, please go and have a look at it. And this Israel and Palestine war will have a negative impact in terms of the oil production that is taking place across the region, which in turn will have huge impact in terms of energy security of India. So these are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. What are dust suppressant and have they worked in the past? See, the dust suppressants are nothing but it is a small topic which is related to Delhi pollution. It is the salt of calcium or magnesium which has been combined with the water and they will be sprayed in the areas where the dust is enormous, so that it will be absorbing the moisture that is present around, and the powder that is mixed with the water and the sprayed on roads will ensure that the dust will be kept down for a minimum period of 6 hours. The normal water that has been sprayed in the road could able to keep down the dust for only 15 to 30 minutes. But in the case of dust suppressor, it could able to keep down the dust that is prevailing in the, not only in the roadside but also in the area where enormous amount of waste that is present for the period of 6 hours. And it is effective when compared to the water spraying. As I said before, that what government of Delhi would be doing is that they would be spraying the water across the roadside as well as the other areas where the waste has been present enormously. And the recent studies which has been conducted by Central Pollution for CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, found that the study in terms of dust suppressant has shown some positive signs. They could and into the salt which is being used, the salt which is being made of the calcium or magnesium salt along with the water sprayed in the road could able to control the dust. This is what is called as dust suppressant, which is very important from the perspective of prelims. How the news is being related to civil service examination is, Under prelims, the news is related to general issues of environmental ecology. And then under GS mains, GS paper 3, under a topic environment, it is related to conservation, environmental pollution, degradation and environmental impact assessment. So what needed to be studied further apart from the dust suppressant and the reason for its usage in the Delhi is that we should also know about what does this air quality index is about and what are all the gases being measured under air quality index and what is the purpose of the introduction of air quality index. Secondly, we should also know about what does the national clean air program is and what are all the targets that has been fixed under the program in terms of reducing the particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10. And also we should know about the difference between particulate matter 2.5 and then particulate matter 10. See, both are having a difference and this difference was asked in the recent prelims question, civil service prelims exam. And also we should know about what is Air Act, what is Water Act and what are the important provisions that has been present in the Air Act and Water Act, and if there is any kind of body that is created under the Air Act or Water Act also we should be aware of it. Fourthly, we should also know about what is Central Pollution Control Board, under which act it has been introduced and what are all the functions of Central Pollution Control Board and what objective under which it has been created. These are all the other areas which we needed to be aware of. High volatility in vegetable inflation haunts the economy, says the CRUDE report. See, the CPI, that is the consumer price index, based on which the inflation is calculated in the Indian economy, averaged nearly 5.7 between 2020 to 2023. But in the case of vegetable inflation, it averaged nearly zero between the period of 2016-2019. But between that period there was less frequent steep rises and then less frequent steep downfall in terms of vegetable prices has taken place, but it has created only a minor issue. But between 2020 and 23, the frequency of steep rise of the vegetable price as well as steep downfall of the vegetable price has got increased, and as a result of which the percentage in terms of vegetable inflation has averaged nearly 6.2% between 2021 to 2022-23 from 2.8% in the 2016-2019 period. So we could able to see a drastic increase in the inflation, so that it has overall impact in the average of the consumer price index. So that this is what the news is. How the news is related to the examination is, under prelims the news is related to economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic, social sector initiatives. Similarly, under mains it is related to GS paper 3, Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. And what impact this volatile vegetable price creates in an economy is that, first and foremost, there will be dilemma in the policy making. Then there will be a few frequent changes in terms of policy will also be taking place, which will have huge toll on the administration as well as the resultant, the service beneficiaries, that is the people. Secondly, it will create huge difficulty in budgetary creations. Why? Because if we could able to predict or estimate what the inflation in the near future will be means we could able to plan our budgetary system accordingly, so that we could able to spend into the areas where there will be less inflationary, and we could able to reduce the areas where we could able to reduce the spending in the area where there will be more inflationary. Such kind of clarity will be known to the budgetary makers whenever the inflation projection is accurate. But because of the volatility in the vegetable prices, and the resultant impact it has on the inflation, there is huge problem that has been created in the budget making. Thirdly, it distracts the consumers as well as producers. So the producers could not able to know what will be the price after the product has been harvested and what will be the price after the product goes to the market. Such kind of volatility condition will lead to lack of decision making in terms of production by the producers and also in terms of buying by the consumers. So these are all the impact it creates in terms of policy level, budgetary making level, and in terms of the producers and consumer level. And why the surge happened in between 2020 as well as 2023 period in terms of vegetable prices, that because of the income growth, high disposable income, and the rate of increase in the high disposable income across the different section of the people led to increased demand for the different kinds of food products. Secondly, changes in the dietary preference, and also the changes in the dietary preference led to huge expenditure in terms of huge expenditure for the qualitative food products as well as the different standards of food products that has been introduced according to the growing economic growing disposable income of the people. Finally, it is because of the population growth. See, the production or the output of the vegetable price has also raised in the last 6 to 7 years. But this rise in terms of the vegetable production does not kept a pace with the population growth, so that the demand surpassed the supply, and it is leading to huge inflationary effect in the vegetable prices. What is the reason for the vegetable losses and the resultant inflationary effect it creates is that, see, the loss is happening is because of the weather disturbance, because of the climate change that is happening around the world, particularly in India, because of the increased rainfall or the deficient rainfall and the uneven pattern of monsoon in the alternate years or the subsequent years is leading to disturbed production, which in turn is having huge risk in terms of the resilience in the supply chain, which in turns lead to disruption in the distribution of vegetable products across the country, and it is having a huge toll in terms of the vegetable price. Secondly, increased pest attack is also one of the major reason for volatility in the price rise. Thirdly, post-harvest wastage because of lack of storage infrastructure and the lack of transport opportunities to the farmers is also acting as hindrance, or it is also a reason for the loss of vegetables in India, which in turn is having a huge impact in terms of price rise in the vegetables. So what is inflation is? See, inflation is the rise of price in the production or the output product that is produced in the economy, and it is calculated based on index. Particularly in India, it is calculated based on wholesale price index as well as consumer price index, and more importantly in recent years it is calculated based on consumer price index. And there are different types of inflation based on the percentage of price rise. First is creeping inflation between 0 to 3%, and then walking inflation between 3 to 7%, running inflation between 10 to 20%, and then hyperinflation between 20 and as well as above 20% is called as hyperinflation. So these are all the different types of inflation in the economy. What need to be studied further is we should know about what is the inflation effect on these different types of stakeholders. See, the inflation will have positive impact on certain section of the stakeholders, and it will have negative impact on the certain section of the stakeholders. So who are all the stakeholders being benefited because of the inflation? Who are all the stakeholders being suppressed because of the inflation? We should also know about. Secondly, we should know about what is RBI and what under which act it has been created, what is the objective of creating the RBI, and what monetary policy tool it has to reduce the inflation is we also be aware of it. Thirdly, we should also know about monetary policy committee and structure, formation and the objective for which it is formed. Fourthly, the monetary policy tool being followed by RBI to reduce the inflation in the economy. So this is what the analysis in relation to the huge volatility in the vegetable price is about, and the inflation, the types of inflation is about. Okay, let's have a look into today's practice prelims question. Mentioned in the board is the today's practice prelims question. I want those students, those who are watching the current affairs session online, please do comment the option point for the question which you are seeing right now on the board. Okay, with this we have reached the end of today's session, so thank you.